Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Catherine Ann. You are in for a treat today as I am interviewing Allison Shok with Code One Training Solutions. Allison has been a nurse for quite a few years, and not only has she done bedside nursing, but she is a nurse entrepreneur as well. Her and her husband both. But I will save the story for the interview, so please sit back and relax and enjoy today's interview with Allison Shok. For being here and sitting with me and talking to my channel today, all my viewers. I know this video is going to be super helpful to all the nurses out there who watch my channel, especially those looking into nurse entrepreneurship, as I feel like there aren't a lot of people talking about this field of nursing and how you can get into this field and just all the nitty, like little bits that are really important with this field. So today, thank you for coming to talk to me. And some of you may be wondering how I know Allison, and I know Allison through Code One Training Solutions. I have partnered with Code One in the past and have recently partnered with them. Some of my partnership videos with them are my best videos on my channel. So if you are curious about Code One Training Solutions, you can go watch those channels. I have completed my past 2 BLS certifications with Code One, and I have recently completed my Stop the Bleed certification with Code One. All of those are recorded, so go ahead to my channel and watch those, of course, after you finish watching this video. So with all of that being said, I am going to have Allison here introduce herself and tell us what she has to do with Code One Training Solutions and nurse entrepreneurship, and also just her nursing career journey. So thank you, Allison, for coming today again. And can you just tell us a little bit about your nursing career journey, where you started, anything in the middle you want to talk about, and where you are now?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Allison Shok. I am a nurse. I graduated from the University of Connecticut in 2010 with my registered nurse bachelor's, and I worked several jobs within the nursing field. I did geriatric med-surg, general med-surg, surgical oncology, and then pediatrics most recently, both peds med-surg and PICU. So I've had a very varied nursing career, but throughout, even starting in undergrad in 2007, my now husband, at that time boyfriend, and I started a company called Code One Training Solutions that you have interacted with. And we had the business from undergraduate on. And it started as a recognition of a need. Every cohort needed CPR training to be able to take clinicals. And if anybody knows Yukon, Storrs now is this beautiful, bustling town. But at the time, there was nothing nearby. And if you didn't have a car, you were stuck. So everyone had this requirement, and not necessarily people didn't have a way to necessarily get it done. So Rich, my husband, was already a CPR instructor and offered to host classes on campus, registered as a LLC, and started teaching under Code One Training Solutions. And as the years went on, we got bigger and started adding more offices and growing as he's also a nurse, so we both graduated nursing school, began our careers, and just started growing the business slowly. And now, 17 years later, we are at 60 locations in 13 states, I think.
Wow.
And, yeah.
I did not, okay. So everyone, I have worked with Code One for over a year now, and I didn't even know that full backstory. Or maybe I have, but I forgot it. But that is awesome. Okay, so did you come up with the name Code One Training Solutions?
Rich came up with the name. He comes from an EMS background. When he was in high school, he became a volunteer firefighter and EMT, so he had already had years of experience coming in. And he did it off of codes over the radio.
Okay, wow. Oh, that's so neat. Okay, so back in 2000, did you say you graduated in 2007 nursing school?
Oh, I graduated in 2010, but the business started in 2007.
Okay, so you started this in nursing school. You weren't even a registered nurse
Yeah.
yet. So you were a
Not
student
yet.
nurse entrepreneur, I will say. But
Yes.
nurse entrepreneur now. Okay, so then your nursing career, you did bedside, of course. Are you still in bedside or did you leave bedside?
I left bedside about 3 months ago, and I've already missed it. But there was just a lot of transition with life. We have little kids, and I'm full time with the business now. So it was like, I'm gonna take a break right now, but I
Yeah,
miss
isn't
it.
that the beauty of nursing, that if you leave bedside, you can always go back? And that's what I'm in right now. I left bedside. I have a 10-month-old now. I'm doing private duty nursing for one person, and that's a few hours a week. But then I miss the emergency room a lot. And I think, oh, maybe one day I'll go back. But in this season of life, nope, it's not good right now.
Yeah, it is really great. I had my second child 3 months before COVID hit, so I was just coming off maternity when everything started happening. And I ended up deciding to take a break just with a newborn. At that time, we didn't know what COVID was and what to look out for, and I had a newborn. So I ended up stepping away for about a year and a half, but I really missed it. I'm a better parent when I'm working. So I went back to it and worked for about a year and a half, 2 years, until taking this break now in the end of 2020.
Okay, so as a nurse working for Code One now, your company, what is your role as a nurse? Because not only are you a nurse, but you're a business owner, and so as well as your husband.
So my role within the business is I'm the chief strategy officer. I gave the history of the business. We were teaching CPR classes in a traditional manner, 10 people in a room, 2 instructors. We had 12 locations across the US at that point before COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we realized the traditional classroom method was not something that we felt comfortable with anymore. So we sort of faced a challenge. We said either we're going to shut down or figure out something else, and figure out a way to teach a way that made us feel comfortable, and as nurses that we felt was appropriate. Because I think that's almost to a fault. We are so dedicated to quality and making sure that our learners feel confident and competent that sometimes the choices we make might not be the most business sound choices, but for us it's what feels right. So anyway, their RQI technology, which a lot of your listeners probably are familiar with at this point, but when we did 4 years ago, nobody had heard of it. It was a technology that was built for the hospitals, which used computerized mannequins to measure skills in a quarterly fashion in the hospital setting. So it required hospital buy-in. The entire hospital system generally was, adopting this type of learning and having their staff come in and do quarterly training. We recognized that this technology is really neat, that every compression was measured, every breath was measured. So myself and several members of our board worked together to say, hey, do we think this is a viable option? Because we wouldn't have gone for it if we didn't think it had merit. But we said, this actually is really great. And we ended up adopting a system that, creating a system, because it wasn't built for this. We had to create a lot of things to support it being out there for the public sphere. And that includes having live virtual instructors and really, really high quality virtual instructors. Our staff is incredible. They're nurses, paramedics, physicians.
I love their staff, I will say. Absolutely love their staff.
But anyway, so I'm sorry. So my role is I'm the strategy officer. So we went from 12 locations before COVID to now 60. Wow. So I'm in charge of the growth. We now have marketing on board that I'm working with really directly, because this is one thing of our stories. We never went to business school, so we were making growth and changes in ways that felt right for us and felt right for the clients and the market, without really having some formal strategy behind us or education to say, hey, this is how other people have done it. So we learned and we grew, and as we've been growing, we've been learning more the business part of it.
Yeah, I feel like,
so it's been really
yeah, I feel like what you're saying goes a lot of hand in hand with the personality of a nurse, like that advocacy portion of nursing of, okay, what's best for the client? What's best for my patient? It's always how the nurse has looked at things. It's, yes, we're working in a hospital, if you work hospital or any business, and you understand that the hospital is a business as well, but the nurse is always looking at it as an advocacy, like, okay, I want the best for my patient, not looking at it from a money standpoint. And that sounds like that's how you've run or how you've started up Code One and continue to still do it, but also making smart business choices, but always looking at the client first.
It's really important to us, and we're not perfect. Nobody is, but we really try hard to create a standardized situation. Sometimes people struggle to pass, and they say, I've passed every time for 10 years. And I say, I understand that. And that's, there's, when you have humans, because there is a human that's supervising, but also these machines that are really precisely measuring depth, rate, speed. And that allows us to really, give them a chance to really identify and look at their technique and their skills and be able to offer them a really specific, that's the right word, a really nuanced view of their performance. And then also saying, okay, you looked great. What questions do you have? How can we help you improve your skills? And our instructors are people that have been in the field and have done it for years and years.
Yeah.
And it's not to say you can get that experience from a traditional class as well, but we think we found a way to really make it personal because it's only one student at a time with the instructor. So you can take your time and ask your questions.
Yeah. Thinking back to my 7 years of my nursing career, I started CPR originally in the big classroom type, and then we got RQI, and it was so exciting. But the problem I found with those was if you were in the big setting, you only had a set amount of time with like 20 other people in the room, and you kind of felt embarrassed to ask questions in front of other people. And especially if you just didn't even hear something, you didn't want to hold up the class. So I know that's how I always was. I was like, I don't want to ask a question. And then the RQI system was really cool, but it was just kind of in the corner of the hospital somewhere in a random hallway on a different unit. And you would just quickly try to get it done during a break in your day. And we all know bedside nursing, you don't get too many breaks during your day. So I love that Code One has that one-on-one instructor there because you're not embarrassed to ask questions and you can take your time and it's relaxed. It's not trying to just rush through and get it just done and out of the way.
Yeah, that resonates to me. And the way it's built for the hospital systems with the quarterly skills, that is really evidence-based. It's really great that to offer that hands-on frequency. It's, high frequency, low intensity. So it's not asking for a lot of your time. But if a whole hospital system doesn't adopt it, then there's thousands and thousands and thousands of practitioners out there that are not getting the benefit of the really exacting technology. Yes. So for us, we like the pairing of the instructor with this really fantastic technology because then, to your point, you can be somebody that's been doing it for a long time, but maybe that never quite made sense. And we hear this all the time. People are embarrassed to look stupid in front of their coworkers for work. Like they don't want to. And I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm not the best at ACLS and PALS. Like for me, those algorithms, it's just how my brain works. And I take review and I need to think about it. It doesn't stick like that.
Yes.
And I really appreciate being able to just take my time, talk it through, have somebody that's been there, done that, be able to talk to me logically why things work the way they work. And it's benefited me as a nurse.
Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of touched on this already. Figuring out the niche, like why you wanted to go into this. So you would say, you said your husband was EMS prior to nursing school, and he just saw the need of this kind of training?
Yeah, the classmates needed a CPR certification. There was nobody nearby to go get it, so people were trying to figure out, where do I go? What do I do? And he said, I'm certified. How can I have a classroom and do it on campus? So started doing it on campus for the nursing classmates, opened it up to the club sports folks that needed it for their jobs, and continued to grow.
How did you...
We still have a presence with them.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. How did you get into incorporating the RQI? Where was that in the progression?
It was COVID. We had shut down with everything else. We were trying to figure out, there was a period of time when everything was shutting down, but the American Heart Association eventually said we're extending certificate dates, if people were expiring those few months between March, April, May. I think June 1 was when they said, okay, you have to get recertified. But nonetheless, there was a period where people didn't know. So we started shipping mannequins off to people's homes, and we're doing multiple webcams to try to evaluate them.
Wow.
And that was not by any means a cost effective. That was just trying to help people, people reaching out to us saying, I can't work and I have to work. So we were just trying to help them.
Wow.
But we were exploring, because it's something we've always said is, as nurses, we always do have a career we can fall back on. So we had to take a moment and say, are we going to shut down? Should we just kind of close house? Because this is, now months that we never laid off any employees. We just kept things going, even though we weren't really getting income. So we were just trying to figure out, can we survive this? And then the concept of implementing RQI technology came up. And we pretty quickly evaluated it, and I believe our launch for it was December 1st of 2020.
Okay.
So it's just, okay.
We're doing it.
This, and we went big.
Yeah.
It had to be a really big investment for us to do it, and that was also the growth that we had. If this model was going to work, we realized as business people we had to grow it quickly. Because that was the only way that we were going to be able to support
Yeah, that was my next question, was going into the business plan, because obviously your business plan changed all throughout 2020 then, and because you can't ship mannequins off, of course, to people's houses anymore. So how, like you said, how is the business plan of being a nurse entrepreneur? You don't have to get into specifics of Code 1 exactly, but just the mentality of viewers watching of what is the mentality you have to have with a business plan of being a nurse entrepreneur?
I think there needs to be a constant evaluation and reevaluation and forecasting. And that's something that we've learned. For a lot of time, I kind of considered us like a mom and pop shop. Like we were doing enough to give ourselves salaries and our staff salaries, but we weren't necessarily strategizing towards the future. But with this realization about the usage of RQI and growing quickly, we realized, wow, we need to figure out a business plan. And that's something that we were able to do, is we were able to get hooked into a business accelerator here in Roanoke, Virginia, where I live. And it was an incredible opportunity to meet so many people in our world, our environment. We're medical people. We had the most incredible, medical professionals, instructors, all these mentors and fantastic people in our corner, but they were all from that sphere, from the medical side. So we were able to enter this business accelerator that gave us mentorship on the business side. And we found out we were doing a lot of things right, but we also figured out some things that we could be doing better and ways to strategize towards the future and meet people who have done it before. So that was huge for us, having that opportunity to be in an accelerator and just talk through the things that the two of us have been just talking about nonstop and have experienced ears hear it.
Okay, so this might be a funny question to you, but coming from someone, I have my YouTube channel, and that's my Nurse Entrepreneurship right here, but what's a business accelerator?
Oh, sorry, yeah. So accelerators, and I'm not going to be the most expert answer on this, but business accelerators are concepts that are across the country, and they're meant to support new or existing businesses, accelerate their growth.
Okay.
So, different ones are different, The one I participated in was called RAMP, there's a lot of acronyms, VIRG, VIPC, but it's Virginia state funded. And they gave us non-equity money to participate because it required a lot of time. So some of these will come in and say, we're going to give you $20,000, but we want to own 10% of your business.
Yes.
That's how some are structured. This one didn't take any percentage of our business. They gave us some funding as a way to almost pay us to do the work. And it's just meant to help your business grow, help figure out if you have a viable business. If your business is viable, how can we help you get it to launch? Because I'm sure it's the same in most towns, cities, states, is that, they want to encourage homegrown businesses. They want to see their citizens succeed.
Yeah.
So this is a program that exists to support new and existing businesses kind of move on to the next level and become successful and bring jobs and revenue and all those good things to the city.
That is so wonderful. I feel like this is only the details you get talking with other people who have started businesses. Like, I had no idea that even existed. I'm sure if I've done enough research and like trying to start a business or something like you have done, I might have come across that one day. But this is why I love doing interviews with people in their scope.
15 years before I knew that one.
Yeah.
It was 15 years that, and the way it came to us was in kind of one of those crazy stories of, I was talking to a friend who owned a business in the area. I just said, we're not sure. We're kind of at a crossroads. We don't know if we should go left or right. I don't know what to do. And he's like, let me put you in touch with this guy that works in business. He's been a serial entrepreneur. He serves as a mentor to a lot of people in the area. Met with this gentleman, Kevin Bloomfield is his name, here in Roanoke, Virginia. And he said, have you heard about this program? And I was like, no, it's a business accelerator, similar to you. And we learned that the applications for that session was closing in 48 hours. So in 48 hours, we learned about it. We did a lot of research. We filled out a really complicated application and we got in. And it was such an incredible support. Like, I couldn't have designed it better for us to have launched our kind of new iteration of our business and finding these people that were not only willing, but excited and eager to learn about us and help us figure out where we want to go and how we want to get there.
So that's what I wanted to talk about eventually. So I'm glad this was a nice little leeway into it, was networking and how networking has helped you in Code One. But it sounds like through networking, that got you the business accelerator, and it just grew the company.
Absolutely. I mean, from that part of it, that was a huge part of our growth, was finding people we talked to a lot of people, and people were lovely, and we said hello once, and we never met them again, but other people have really come into our orbit and have become real supports for us. But we also have a lot of mentorship, what I said, for 15 years on the cardiac side. We have fantastic contacts within, physicians, researchers, advocates, the American Heart Association. We've really built a fantastic network of those people. So I can't say enough to networking and finding people that are also passionate about what we're doing and want to help, give guidance or help us succeed. And then people in the business world that are ready to help us support the business side.
Absolutely. With your networking, would you say you did a majority of the outreach through like going online and like emailing and looking people up, or was it from connections that you had when you were working bedside?
I'm just trying to think.
Or half and half.
I think most of the connections that have grown from a business standpoint were from either nursing school and our connections from the university, or people that we have met in the cardiac world, and then also the business world. With bedside, this is actually something that's important. I made a very intentional distinction to not be advertising myself as a business person when I was working the bedside. I was not there to sell anybody anything. I was not there to do anything but provide good nursing care. And, most hospitals, I've worked at several, that you're supposed to sign a conflict of interest type thing. And I personally took that to heart. So I was always very intentional to not let those two worlds merge, because I didn't want to make anybody uncomfortable or devalue anybody else. So that's my answer to that question.
I totally get that. I never tell any employer or any staff that I was working with when I was working bedside that I had a YouTube channel. When I first started my YouTube channel, I told a few people. I remember this one doctor, he was a podiatrist, and this was at Reading Hospital up in Pennsylvania. And he heard I had a YouTube channel from someone else. And he's like, how many subscribers do you have? I was like, 100. And he's like, I don't even know 100 people. Like, it was hilarious. And then at my most recent place of work, when I was doing travel nursing, I was like, okay, I am the travel nurse. People are already looking at me funny. I am absolutely not telling anyone I have a YouTube channel. Come to find out, one of the supervisors during huddle one day was like, Catherine, did anyone ever tell you you look like Nurse Catherine on YouTube? I was like, yeah, that's because it is me. I was like, no, my secret's out.
Oh gosh. Yeah, people would sometimes know, like, if, people would ask me, I wasn't hiding anything. Like, oh no, my CPR, the manager just said I can't work unless CPR gets renewed, tomorrow, and I gotta find CPR. And I'd be like,
I got you.
If you want to look this up, you can call me later. Call me after work. So it was never a secret, but yeah, I wasn't going out there trying to sell anybody.
Yes, I'm right there with you. So were there any, I know, like, as you said, you come from the nursing perspective, not the business side. So you've learned the business aspect throughout the years, 15 years plus. And were there any legal or regulatory requirements that you had to learn that you didn't know you had to have going into this? What did that look like?
Yeah, in terms of working with my spouse, which is its own interview, he tends to handle more of the regulatory things. But, we do, our CPR is American Heart Association, which in itself is a pretty strictly, there's strict parameters you have to stick within. And we, want to follow that to a T, because, we really do feel like we are, we're a larger presence than most. And we think it's really important. We think that those protocols and regulations are there for a reason. So, within the bounds of making sure that our classes are fully in line with recommendations and requirements from the American Heart Association is important to us. And then when it comes to having a business, for sure, over the years, I've had stumbles and roadblocks, because there's just things within having a business. We have business, locations, we have locations in, I think it's 13 or 14 states. Every state has different requirements.
Wow.
Some have taxes quarterly, yearly, monthly, certain licenses that you need. So what we've done of kind of owning the whole business ourselves and opening up locations all across the country has definitely had its share of challenges. But what we've learned is we need to have the right team around us. Our C-suite board is fantastic, and we have a great lawyer and great accountant that help us make sure that what we're doing is in line. And if we realize we make a mistake, we just have to face it and make sure we address it so that we can move on without issues.
Yeah, that whole side, I agree, is just totally like, I will push that stuff to my husband because he can understand that better than I can. And maybe it's just he's more interested in it than I am. But even stuff with YouTube, I'll be like, can you just read this stuff? And can you read these partnership agreements for me and tell me if I would agree with it? Yes, I totally get that.
Yeah, that's something we've determined is in this relationship and partnership, we have our own wheelhouses, and there's a lot of overlap, but there's also some things that just send it along to you. He sends things along to me, and it creates some form of
Yes,
balance.
and that's what makes a good business, is just knowing what you're good at and putting those people in those places of knowing what they're good at, for sure. Are there any conferences that you all go to, or reading publications, CEUs, that you take specifically for learning in this field? Like cardiac stuff, what does that look like?
So my husband Rich volunteers with the Citizen CPR Foundation. He's also, we work with a lot of nonprofits, and we actually have a second business as well. It's called AED Team, where we do AED supplies, and we are really focused on outdoor access to defibrillation. So we go to a lot of parks conferences to talk about ways to make AEDs accessible to the public 24/7, because, a coach
That's
carrying
amazing.
that practice means that everyone that's staying on the field after hours all of a sudden doesn't have that option of protection. So that's really where kind of our ambassadorship and our volunteering and our advocacy goes. But we do a lot of volunteering, hands-on CPR training, and if we're invited to speak at things, we go speak, and we like to participate wherever we can.
Yeah. So you would say, or would you say, you've always had a heart for educating the community since you started this in nursing school? Would you say that's always been a desire of yours?
It's sometimes hard to put chicken and egg because I've been doing it for so long, but we just hear from so many people, whether it was when we were, it was me in the classroom teaching traditional classes, and now moving into more, wide scale teaching. There's so much variability, and honestly, there's people that don't feel confident in their ability to act and react. So like my kind of catchphrase is, I want you to feel confident and competent. So if we can support you in that, we're there. And that's not, I don't care about certifying. Like truly, we volunteer all the time. We bring mannequins out to events. We bring AEDs with us if we're ever going to a venue, because in case, we were just at an event last week, less than a week ago, and we looked at the enclosure that should have had the AED in it. It was just empty. So we had one kind of tucked away. Or sometimes you see AEDs that are there, but if you walk by and look at it, there's a little red X in the corner, which means it's not functioning. So we have become those people walking up. I mean, within the past week, we've done it 3 times of, hey, just letting you know, you have this sitting here, but it's not actually functioning. If there was an emergency and somebody took it out, it would not work. And there's sometimes pushback, and it's like, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I want the emergency equipment to be ready and available in case of an emergency. So I think we see ourselves as ambassadors for education, and I'm always willing to practice with somebody. I've done it in the park. Just practice some hands-on CPR, hands-only CPR.
Yes. So for those watching this and thinking about becoming a nurse entrepreneur, thinking of a business they want to open, what advice would you give to them?
Well, I guess first would be congratulations.
Yeah.
And I think I want to think about it. If I were to give advice to somebody wanting to enter the sphere of entrepreneurship, I think the first thing to do is just evaluate this idea that you have. You want to make sure whatever you're going into is something that not only you feel passionate about, but there really is a need for. That's one thing that I've learned a lot going through the entrepreneurial journey and going through accelerators is there's a lot of things in our head that might sound and feel like a great idea, but then you find out that maybe people in the market don't really care. They're happy with how things are or what they already have existing. So taking the time to not just jump in 100%, but do what's called customer discovery, which is just reach out to your network, find a network, use LinkedIn, and not pitch people your idea, but just learn from them. Hey, what challenges do you face? What causes you stress? What what is something that you wish could be better? And you could talk about the sphere, like we talked about, have you done CPR training or getting your staff CPR trained? And we were able to learn a lot of things. Even though we'd been in business for 15 years, we were able to learn, the things that we thought would be listed as the most important for them actually wasn't the most important. We figured out what the things were that mattered to them. And then we were able to now tailor how we introduce the topic and present it and make tweaks to make it better for the clients. So,
that is so rich. That is such great advice.
So if anybody's looking to start out, that would be my suggestion, is take a little time, do a little research, find out, is there a fit for what you want? Go for it. See if you can find mentors. This is something that I've really learned, is that people love to share. It's, for lack of a better word, it's flattering to be told like, hey, you seem incredible and I would love to learn from you. So I've almost never had somebody say no if I've said to them, you seem awesome, can I ask you a few questions? They almost never say no. So there's people out there willing and excited to help. So find those people and take a leap.
This is so...
take a leap.
This is so great, Allison. Thank you so much. This information, I learned a lot today, and I feel like I can apply a lot of this information to even just growing my channel and just reaching more nurses out there. And I'm not even starting a business per se. I kind of am, but not really. But you know what I mean? It's just, this was great information. I am so excited for other nurse entrepreneurs out there to listen to this information that you shared today.
Oh, I appreciate it. I mean, it's been lovely talking to you. It's, we've been in our bubble doing it for so long, and we've made so many mistakes. And I'm happy to offer support and love, because I think that's one thing, is especially in the nursing community, we want to support each other. We want to build each other up. And we also know there's a lot of people that are burnt out in the nursing community right now. So finding the right niche, it doesn't have to be a full career change. There's lots of things you can do with our titles and with our background. I don't have any other degrees. I've never done anything else besides my nursing education. But there's so much within there, and I think nurses want to see each other succeed and want to support each other.
I would absolutely agree with that. Yes, that is 100% spot on. We do. We want to see each other succeed, and we want to see each other do well. And when we do see another burnout nurse, it's like, don't leave nursing altogether. Just find a different area of nursing that you can thrive in, and maybe this isn't right. And look at you, you are thriving in being a nurse entrepreneur.
I appreciate that. Every day is different. That's one thing for sure.
Yes. yes, it's not the same old.
Definitely not. But yeah, it's been a great journey.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I can't believe it's already been 38 minutes that we have been talking. It does not feel like it's been that long. I feel like this has been like 5 minutes of talking. So thank you for taking the time to be here today and talk to my viewers. And everyone, if you want to reach out to Allison with any questions, I'm sure she would be more than willing to answer any email. So Allison, can you tell people where they can find you?
Probably the best place would be on LinkedIn, which is actually something I think nurses really underutilize. That's one thing I've learned so much about. It's the only social media I personally have anymore. But my name is Allison Shok, S-H-O-K. If you want to find me there, send me a message. I'd be happy to engage with anybody there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I'm going to have to get myself a LinkedIn because I do not have one.
I'm telling you, there's some really great opportunities and insightful conversations happening.
Yes, I'm going to need to get one for some networking. Yes, I love it.
I can be your first connection.
That's right. Well, thank you everyone for watching today. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. But other than that is it for today's interview. And again, thank you, Allison.
Thank you so much, Catherine. It was my pleasure.